Welcome to Dremels. Today we're gonna share an article post by the World Economic Forum with the title Technology Can Help Us End the Scourge of Modern Slavery. Here's how. So the article was written by Ed Lewin, and we're gonna share with you some ideas, some data that the article provides us. So to start, around the globe, there are 40 million people who are enslaved. 40 million people around the world, and 71% of those 40 million people are girls and women. So there is a big amount of women and girls who are enslaved in the world. So it is estimated that of the 40 million, 25 million are in forced labor. So there are many people who fit in different categories of modern slavery. So for example, we have some individuals um, which some individuals who are in forced labor, debt bondage, human trafficking, forced marriage, child slavery, and descent-based slavery. So those categories are are part of the modern slavery that we have nowadays. So what about debt bondage? People who couldn't pay the debt, for that reason they are in debt bondage. Human trafficking, mm, people who don't have the right to choice, don't have the right to live as normal people live, in attending education, in attending schools. So, and forced marriage because of people who can decide who's gonna be his or her couple. Child slavery and descent-based slavery, where there are stories of babies who born into slavery because their parents were captured and enslaved. So the modern slavery affects both adults and children. So, and also there are a disproportionate number of women and girls, which represent 71% of those 40 million. So let's start with an image with a specific category. In this case is forced labor. So this is the image um, made by the International Labour Organization with the global estimates of modern slavery. So those are the sector of forced labor exploitation. We have bigging, which is maybe you have seen on the streets people who ask for money because they can work. They are older. So those auctions represent bidding, which represents 10% of the total forced labor exploitation. So what about mining and quarrying? The activity of mining also and quarrying, which is the action of digging stones, and the activity of mining that we know that is the activity of extraction, some precious metals, and also represents 4% of the total forced labor exploitation. Another sector is personal services, which represent uh, 7% of the total, wholesale and trade 9%, accommodation and food activity, accommodation and food activity, um, which represent 10%, agriculture, forestries, and fishing 11%, manufacturing 15%, construction 18%, and domestic work 24% of that total sectoral distribution of victim of forced labor exploitation. So those are the sectors, and also those are the percentage of people, of enslaved people, who are working, who are in forced labor exploitation. So, and also we have another image with a sex distribution of victims of forced labor exploitation by sector of economic activity. For example, female represents in accommodation and food services activities 92% of female work in that sector. In domestic work, there are more women working there with 61%, and just 39% for male. So in wholesale and trade, 48% of the total are female and 52% are male. Personal services, male um, represents 52% and female 48%. In agriculture, forestries and fishing, forestry, which is the science of protecting, the science of work of cultivating, maintaining, and developing forest. Uh, there are more males working than female here. 68% for male and 32% for female. So in manufacturing, the same is for male. Male represents 82% and female 18%. The same is in construction and begging. 90% are composed by male and just 10% for female. And mining and quarrying, it's an activity, a predominant activity for male, which 100% work there. So those are the victims of forced labor exploitations by the sector economy activity. So we have here. Um, okay, what about the organization? All the efforts around the world made by organization, enterprise, people, non-governmental organizations are still continue, but it's not enough. For example, the International Labour Organization 5 years ago introduced protocols designed to eradicate forced labor and trafficking. But you can think it should have been an easy lift for governments to ratify and implement, but just 4 countries of that G20 of the G20 ratify and implement in their countries: Argentina, France, Russia, and the UK. Those were the countries which have implemented and ratified the protocols that were introduced by the organization, the International Labour Organization, with the with a goal for eradicating forced labor and trafficking. So there is still too much work to do. There are few countries which are taking action um, against human trafficking, against slave, against this problem. So, what is the role of the four industrial revolution technologies? The role of the four industrial revolution technologies are are essential here. They play they they have a key role here. For example, we are talking about blockchains, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. How those types of technology can help eradicate slavery from slavery. So modern slavery. The article shares three cases where we three amazing cases. So the first is made by digining and the use of blockchain with the use of blockchains. Okay. Digines is a company. It's a company which which provides financial solutions and services uh, with the use of blockchain. This type of technology that belongs to the fourth industrial revolution have the ability to record and preserve information that is uncorruptibly, that is not easy to change, impossible to change, bringing transparency to workers' conditions through the simple use of the mobile phone. So the use of this technology of blockchain brings transparency to governments, to companies who want to work with the use of blockchains. That is how blockchain help us in order to destroy, to disappear a slave of the world. The second case is related with artificial intelligence and the use and and also a company who use those kind this kind of technologies, Marinus Analytics. So artificial intelligence is already helping to identify victims of trafficking through incredible social enterprises such as Marinus Analytics. Marinus Analytics is a woman-owned company. Uh, so we are talking about that is not just about data. It's about people also who are behind because it's about people behind massive data streams. So so they are behind of that. So there are many individuals who create them, and also whether it's a dealer posting drugs for sale online, a criminal behind thousands of financial transactions, or a victim behind millions of adult advertisements. So with the use of artificial intelligence um, and the artificial intelligence solutions the company deploys help law enforcement. Uh, with that technology, they help government and private sector identify and combat criminal activities. So this is another case on how technology is helping to eradicate modern slave. And also we have a university of Nottingham, which with the use of machine learning, how machine learning is identifying brick kilns which are all too often populated, so So it's machine learning. Um, so the University of Nottingham demonstrated how machine learning is identifying laborers in forced bondage. These are just and how companies and different organizations, including university, are working to have a better place to live. So, three examples in a growing space that demonstrate how technology used the right way can be a powerful force for good. Blockchains, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are helping to eradicate this problem. So the quicker we can implement these tools to break the cycle of slavery, the sooner we can hold our heads high and say we are making a genuine positive difference in the world today. Millions of people are depending on us. So this was the article posted by the World Economic Forum, and this is how the war is going. This is Dremel. See you in the next episode.